The massive space station called Nexus Prime floated in the empty darkness around a dead star. Ships from across the galaxy were arriving one by one. Each ship carried representatives from the most advanced civilizations known to exist. They had all come for one reason: to prove who had the best stealth technology in the universe. Commander Hyun-Woo Kim stood at the observation window of the human transport ship. He watched as alien vessels docked with the station. Some ships were so large they blocked out the stars. Others were small but glowed with strange energy. A few seemed to shift and change shape as he watched them. Impressive sight, isn't it? Dr. So-Min Park walked up beside him. She was the lead scientist for the human stealth program. Her voice sounded calm, but Hyun-Woo could tell she was nervous. "They certainly know how to make an entrance," Hyun-Woo replied. He had fought in 3 different wars against alien species. None of those battles had prepared him for this moment. This was not about fighting. This was about proving that humans belonged among the great powers of the galaxy. Captain Dong-Ha Lee joined them at the window. He was the pilot who would fly their test mission. "The Valkyrie ship just arrived," he said, pointing to a vessel that seemed to bend light around itself. "I can barely see it even when I know where to look." The Valkyrie were famous throughout the galaxy for their quantum phase shifters. Their technology could move objects partially out of normal space. Many species considered them impossible to detect when they wanted to hide. Engineer Yoo-Jin Choi was checking their equipment one final time. "All systems are green," she reported. "The Silent Prowler is ready for the test." The Silent Prowler was their test ship. It looked ordinary compared to the alien vessels, but it carried technology that the human scientists had worked on for 10 years. The 4 humans were part of a small delegation. Most species had sent hundreds of representatives. The humans had sent 12 people total. Other aliens looked at the small human group and whispered among themselves. Some laughed openly. A voice came over the station's communication system. "All participants report to the main assembly hall for the challenge briefing." The voice belonged to Administrator Kexthan, a member of the Galactic Federation Council. The Federation had organized this competition to identify the most advanced stealth capabilities in known space. The assembly hall was enormous. Representatives from 43 different species filled the seats. The Thraxians sat in one section, their scaled bodies gleaming under the lights. They had brought dimensional pocket generators that could hide entire fleets in spaces between realities. The Zephyrians occupied another area, their tall forms swaying slightly as they communicated through sound waves humans could not hear. Their molecular displacement fields could scatter matter so thoroughly that sensors would find nothing but empty space. The humans found seats near the back. Several alien species turned to stare at them. One group of insect-like beings clicked their mandibles in what sounded like amusement. A delegation of energy beings flickered brighter, which their translation devices said meant they were laughing. Administrator Kexthan appeared on the main stage. He was a tall, thin being with forearms and silver skin. "Welcome, representatives of the galaxy's finest civilizations," he began. "You have come to participate in the most comprehensive stealth technology evaluation ever conducted." The administrator gestured to a large display screen. It showed a detailed map of a heavily fortified compound built inside an asteroid. "Your challenge is simple to understand but difficult to complete. You must infiltrate this facility, retrieve a data crystal from the central vault, and escape without being detected." The display zoomed in to show the compound's defenses. Sensor arrays covered every surface. Automated weapon systems tracked movement in all directions. Elite guard units patrolled the corridors. The facility's AI system was designed to detect any form of intrusion. "The compound uses detection technology from every major civilization," Kexthan continued. "Thermal scanners, gravitational monitors, quantum signature analyzers, dimensional shift detectors, and many others. If your stealth system has any weakness, this facility will find it." Dr. So-Min Park leaned over to whisper to Hyun-Woo. "They're not holding back. This is going to be the real test." The administrator explained the rules. Each species would attempt the infiltration in order of their arrival. They would have 1 hour to complete the mission. Any detection by the facility's systems would result in immediate disqualification. The test would continue until one species succeeded or all species failed. "The Valkyrie will attempt first," Kexthan announced. "They have requested to demonstrate the superiority of their quantum phase-shifting technology." The Valkyrie representative stood up. He was tall and pale with large black eyes. "We accept this challenge with confidence," he said. in a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Our technology has never failed to achieve perfect concealment. Murmurs of agreement came from several alien sections. The Velkari had a reputation that stretched back thousands of years. They had perfected stealth technology when most species were still learning to make fire. The Thraxian representative spoke next. Her voice was deep and rumbling. Our dimensional generators will succeed where phase shifting fails. We can remove our operatives from this reality entirely. The Zephyrian delegation swayed together and produced a harmonious sound. Their translator announced, "The Zephyrians express complete confidence in molecular displacement superiority over all primitive technologies." One by one, representatives from different species stood to declare their confidence. Each claimed their technology was the most advanced. Each predicted easy success in the coming test. Finally, Administrator Kexthan looked toward the human section. And what did the humans say about their chances? The assembly hall grew quiet. Every alien eye turned toward the small human group. Some species had never seen humans before. Others had heard stories about the young species that had recently achieved faster-than-light travel. Yunwu stood up slowly. He looked around the hall at hundreds of alien faces. Some showed curiosity. Others showed amusement. A few showed what might have been pity. "We're here to do our best," Yunwu said simply. "We'll let our results speak for themselves." Several species made sounds that the translation system identified as laughter. The insect-like beings clicked their mandibles more loudly. One of the energy beings flickered so brightly that other species had to look away. "How refreshing," said the Velkari representative. "Modesty from a species that barely knows how to hide behind their own moon." The Thraxian delegate rumbled with what sounded like approval. "At least they understand their limitations. Most primitive species claim abilities they do not possess." Dr. Somin Park squeezed Hyunwoo's arm gently. She knew how hard it was for him to stay calm when aliens mocked his species, but getting angry would not help them now. They needed to focus on the test ahead. Administrator Kexthan raised one of his four hands for silence. "The testing will begin in 1 hour. Participants should prepare their equipment and review the mission parameters. Remember, this compound has defeated every previous attempt at infiltration. Do not underestimate the challenge you face." As the aliens began to leave the assembly hall, many stopped to look at the human delegation. Some whispered among themselves. Others simply shook their heads as if they felt sorry for the humans. Yujin Choi gathered her equipment cases. "Let them underestimate us," she said quietly to her teammates. "It will make our success even more impressive." Captain Dong Ha Lee nodded. "The silent prowler is ready. Our stealth systems are operating perfectly. We have as good a chance as anyone." But even as they prepared for the test, the humans could not ignore the obvious truth. They were about to compete against species that had perfected stealth technology over thousands of years. Their own systems were only 10 years old. The odds were not in their favor. Still, they had not come this far to give up now. Whatever happened in the next few hours would determine humanity's place among the great powers of the galaxy. The first 3 species had already failed their stealth tests. The Velkari quantum phase shifters had worked perfectly for 30 minutes before gravitational sensors detected their mass displacement. The Thraxian dimensional generators had hidden their operative completely until the facility's AI noticed areas of space that registered as completely empty. The Zephyrians had scattered their molecules so well that they could not reassemble quickly enough when the mission timer ran out. Each failure had been met with shocked silence from the alien observers. These were technologies that had dominated galactic warfare for centuries. If they could not pass this test, what hope did any species have? Commander Hyunwoo Kim watched the alien representatives grow more nervous with each failure. Some species had already begun discussing modifications to their technology. Others whispered about the possibility that the test was designed to be impossible. "Our turn," announced Captain Dong Ha Lee. He was checking the silent prowler systems one final time. The human test ship looked simple compared to the alien vessels they had seen. It had no visible energy shields, no reality-bending modifications, and no exotic matter generators. Dr. Somin Park joined the team at their ship. "All equipment is ready," she reported. "Remember, our approach is different from what these species expect. Trust the technology and trust your training." 2 new team members joined them for the mission. Sergeant Bo Rahan was a special operations expert who had trained for this mission for 2 years. Lieutenant Jin Ho-yoon was an electronics warfare specialist who understood alien sensor technology better than most humans. Admiral Kyung-soo Jang, the senior human observer, wished them luck. "The galaxy is watching," he said. "Show them what human ingenuity can accomplish." The alien observers gathered around the monitoring stations to watch the human attempt. Many were openly skeptical. The insect-like beings clicked their mandibles in amusement. The energy beings flickered with what their translator said was anticipation of entertainment. "Look at their equipment," said the Velkari representative. "They have no quantum manipulators, no dimensional generators, no exotic matter systems. What do they expect to accomplish with such primitive technology?" The Thraxian delegate rumbled in agreement. "Their ship appears to be standard military design with minor modifications. This will be the shortest test yet." Captain Dong-ha Lee piloted the silent prowler toward the test compound. The ship's stealth systems activated as soon as they left the station. To the human crew, nothing seemed to change. The ship still looked and felt exactly the same, but something remarkable was happening on the monitoring screens. The alien observers watched as the human ship's signature began to fade from their sensors. Unlike the previous attempts, this was not a sudden disappearance. The ship seemed to gradually become less noticeable to the detection systems. "Interesting," murmured the Velkari representative. "Their electromagnetic signature is shifting to match background radiation patterns." The Thraxian delegate leaned forward. "The thermal readings are adjusting to match the surrounding temperature. But how are they doing this without exotic matter?" Lieutenant Jin Ho-yoon was working at his station aboard the silent prowler. His equipment was analyzing every sensor beam that touched their ship. The human stealth system was learning the characteristics of each detection attempt and adjusting their ship's signature accordingly. "Gravitational sensors coming online," he reported. "System is compensating for mass displacement by redistributing apparent density across a larger area." Dr. Somin Park had designed this system based on a simple principle. Instead of trying to hide from sensors, they would convince the sensors that the ship was something harmless. The stealth field did not make them invisible. It made them appear to be cosmic debris, radiation fluctuations, or sensor ghosts. The compound's AI system registered brief anomalies as the silent prowler approached, but each anomaly was dismissed as background interference or equipment fluctuation. The AI was programmed to ignore readings that matched known natural phenomena. "We're at the facility perimeter," Captain Dong-ha Lee reported. "All systems are green." Proceeding to insertion point. The alien observers could barely believe what they were seeing. Their most advanced sensors were detecting nothing unusual. The compound's defense system showed no signs of alert. It was as if the human ship had simply vanished from existence. Sergeant Bora Han prepared for her part of the mission. Unlike the alien operatives who had relied on technological concealment, she would infiltrate the facility using a combination of technology and tactics that no alien species had considered. Her suit was not designed to bend light or shift dimensions. Instead, it was covered with adaptive materials that could change color, texture, and temperature to match any environment. More importantly, it could emit false signals that convinced sensors she was authorized to be wherever she happened to be. Beginning infiltration, Bora Han reported as she left the ship. She moved toward the facility's outer wall with confident steps. Her suit was already analyzing the security systems and adjusting her electromagnetic signature to match authorized personnel. The facility's AI scanned her approach and found nothing suspicious. Her thermal signature matched that of a guard changing shifts. Her electromagnetic profile indicated she was carrying standard security equipment. Her movement pattern suggested she was following normal patrol routes. Bora Han entered the facility through a service entrance. The door's security system scanned her and found authorization codes that perfectly matched its database. The codes were not stolen or hacked. Her suit was generating them in real time based on the security system's own programming. "This is impossible," whispered the Velkari representative. "She is walking through their security as if she belongs there." The Zephyrian delegation swayed together and produced confused harmonics. Their translator struggled to process the sounds but finally announced, "The Zephyrians expressed bewilderment at human disregard for established stealth principles." Inside the facility, Bora Han moved through corridors filled with automated defenses and guard patrols. Her suit continued to convince every sensor that she was authorized to be there. When motion detectors scanned her, they registered a scheduled maintenance worker. When thermal sensors examined her, they found a guard on routine patrol. The facility's AI never realized it was being infiltrated. From its perspective, all personnel in the building were exactly where they were supposed to be, doing exactly what they were authorized to do. Target acquired, Bo-Ra-Han reported as she reached the central vault. The data crystal was secured behind multiple layers of protection, but her suit had convinced the security system that she was there to perform routine maintenance on the storage unit. The vault opened at her approach. Alarms that should have triggered when unauthorized personnel entered the area remained silent. Bo-Ra-Han retrieved the data crystal and began her exit from the facility. Mission complete, she reported 20 minutes later as she returned to the silent prowler. No alarms triggered, no detection events recorded. Captain Dong Ha-Li piloted their ship away from the compound. The facility's sensors tracked what they believed was a piece of space debris drifting away from their position. The AI system logged no security incidents and registered no unauthorized access to any restricted areas. The alien observers sat in stunned silence as the human team returned to Nexus Prime. Administrator Kexthan checked and double-checked the monitoring data. The compound system showed no record of infiltration. According to every sensor and security device, the facility had never been breached. Impossible, said the Thraxian delegate. Our sensors show they were never detected, but the data crystal is clearly missing from the vault. The Velkari representative was studying his equipment with confusion. Their stealth technology uses no exotic principles we can identify. Yet it achieved perfect concealment against systems designed to detect every known form of stealth. Dr. So-Min Park smiled as she watched the alien reactions. The human approach to stealth had taken 10 years to develop, but it was based on a fundamental insight that alien species had missed. Perfect stealth was not about becoming invisible. It was about becoming exactly what the observer expected to see. How? Asked Administrator Kexthan. How did you accomplish what species with thousands of years of experience could not? We learned to speak their language, Dr. So-Min Park replied simply. Instead of fighting their sensors, we convinced them we belonged. The assembly hall erupted in chaos after the human victory. Representatives from 43 different species shouted accusations in dozens of languages. Translation systems struggled to keep up with the flood of angry voices. Many aliens refused to believe what they had witnessed. Impossible, roared the Thraxian delegate. No species can achieve perfect stealth with such primitive technology. There must be some form of deception involved. The Velkari representative stood and pointed at the human delegation. We demand a full investigation. Their equipment must be examined. Their methods must be verified. This result cannot stand without proof. Administrator Kexthan raised all forearms to restore order. The Galactic Federation will conduct a thorough investigation, he announced. Inspector Vexhai of the Velkari will lead the examination. All human equipment and methods will be studied in detail. Inspector Vexhai was known throughout the galaxy as the most skilled investigator of advanced technology. Her 4 black eyes could detect deception in any species. Her analytical mind had solved mysteries that had puzzled scientists for centuries. We welcome the investigation, said Commander Hyun-Woo Kim calmly. We have nothing to hide. Our success was achieved through legitimate means. The insect-like beings clicked their mandibles aggressively. Their translator announced, the hexapods demand proof that human success was not achieved through cheating or system manipulation. Analyst Threx Mora of the Thraxians joined the investigation team. He was an expert in sensor technology who had designed detection systems for half the galaxy. We will discover how they defeated sensors that should have been impossible to fool, he declared. Dr. Elena Martinez, a human xenopsychologist, was assigned to help with the investigation. She had studied alien psychology for 15 years and understood how different species approached problem solving. The investigation began immediately. Inspector Vexhai and her team examined every piece of human equipment with instruments more advanced than anything humans had ever seen. They analyzed the silent prowler down to the atomic level. They studied every component of Sergeant Bo-Ra-Han's infiltration suit. Remarkable, murmured Inspector Vexhai after 3 hours of examination. Their technology is exactly what it appears to be. No hidden exotic matter generators, no dimensional manipulation devices, no quantum phase shifters. Analyst Threx Mora was equally puzzled. The stealth system uses only conventional materials and standard energy sources. Yet our sensors confirm it achieved perfect concealment against the most advanced detection grid ever constructed. Dr. So-Min Park was allowed to explain the human approach to the investigation team. She showed them how the stealth system analyzed enemy sensors in real time, learning their operating frequencies, detection patterns, and response protocols within seconds. Your species tried to hide from sensors, she explained. We learned to communicate with them. Our system tells the sensors exactly what they want to hear. Inspector Vexhai studied the data flows between the human stealth system and the test facility's sensors. Ingenious, she admitted. Rather than blocking detection attempts, you convinced the sensors that you were authorized to be detected. The investigation revealed layer after layer of elegant simplicity in the human approach. Where other species used brute force to overcome sensor technology, humans used intelligence to work with it. Their stealth field did not fight enemy systems. It joined them. Lieutenant Jin Ho-yoon demonstrated how the system worked. When a thermal sensor scans us, our system reads the sensor's calibration and expected parameters. Then it generates a thermal signature that matches what the sensor expects to find in that location. But how do you know what the sensor expects? Asked analyst Threxmora. We ask it, Jin Ho-yoon replied. Every sensor constantly broadcasts information about its operating status, target parameters, and expected readings. We simply listen to what it tells us and provide exactly what it wants to detect. The alien investigators were amazed by the simplicity of the concept. For thousands of years, their species had been engaged in an arms race of increasingly complex stealth technology versus increasingly sophisticated sensors. Humans had stepped outside that competition entirely. You did not try to become undetectable, Inspector Vexhai observed. You became perfectly detectable as something harmless. Dr. Elena Martinez pointed out that this approach reflected fundamental differences in human psychology. Other species saw the sensors as enemies to defeat. Humans saw them as communication devices to understand. But as the investigation continued, Inspector Vexhai noticed something troubling in the data. The human stealth technology showed signs of adaptation that went beyond its original programming. The system was learning and evolving in ways that even its creators did not fully understand. Dr. Park, Inspector Vexhai said during the fourth day of investigation, your stealth system is displaying behavioral patterns that are not present in its base programming. It appears to be developing autonomous responses to new types of sensors. Dr. So-Min Park frowned as she studied the data. That should not be possible. The system is designed to analyze and respond, not to create new response patterns independently. Engineer Yoo-Jin Choi, who had been working closely with the stealth systems, confirmed the inspector's observations. I have noticed unusual readings over the past few weeks. The system seems to anticipate sensor types that it has never encountered before. Analyst Threxmora discovered energy patterns in the human technology that defied explanation. These readings suggest the system is somehow interfacing with quantum probability fields. But there are no quantum manipulators in the equipment. The investigation team realized they had uncovered something far more significant than advanced stealth technology. The human systems were evolving beyond their original design parameters, developing capabilities that even their creators had not intended. How is this possible? Inspector Vexhai asked Dr. So-Min Park. Technology does not typically evolve independently of its programming. We designed the system to learn from sensor interactions, Dr. Park replied. Perhaps it has learned more than we expected, but even Dr. Park could not explain all the anomalies the investigation had revealed. The stealth technology was interfacing with its human operators in ways that suggested a level of integration beyond simple human-machine cooperation. Yoo-Jin Choi had been experiencing strange effects during her extended work with the stealth systems. She sometimes felt as if she could sense sensor beams before they touched her. Occasionally, she found herself adjusting equipment settings that she did not remember changing. The technology is not just learning from sensors, Inspector Vexhai concluded. It is learning from its human operators. The system is developing an understanding of human consciousness itself. Dr. Elena Martinez found this development both fascinating and concerning. If the stealth technology is integrating with human consciousness, it could develop capabilities that extend far beyond anything we have observed. The investigation officially concluded that human victory had been achieved through legitimate means. Their technology was exactly what they claimed it to be. But the investigators had discovered questions that were far more important than the original competition. Your species has created something unprecedented, Inspector Vexhai told the human delegation. Technology that evolves through consciousness rather than programming. The implications extend far beyond stealth applications. Administrator Kexthon officially declared the humans winners of the stealth competition. But many alien species left Nexus Prime with more questions than answers. They had witnessed not just superior technology, but the emergence of a new relationship between consciousness and machines. As the various species prepared to depart, several requested ongoing dialogue with human scientists. The stealth competition had become the foundation for something much larger, the beginning of a new understanding of what technology could become when it learned to work with consciousness instead of simply serving it. But none of the investigators realized that their discovery was about to become much more dramatic. The human stealth technology was continuing to evolve, and its next development would challenge everything they thought they understood about the nature of existence itself. 3 days after the investigation concluded, engineer Yu-Jin Choi was working on routine maintenance of the stealth equipment in the main observation deck. The area was crowded with representatives from multiple species who were preparing to leave Nexus Prime. Dozens of witnesses watched as she calibrated the system's response parameters. All readings are normal, Yu-Jin reported to her team through her communication device. She was standing next to the stealth generator, making small adjustments to improve its efficiency. The equipment hummed quietly as it processed her commands. Dr. So-Min Park was watching from across the room. "Be careful with those settings," she called out. "We still do not fully understand how the system has been evolving." Security Chief Woo-Jin Kim was also present, overseeing the departure preparations. He had been assigned to ensure that all human equipment was properly documented before leaving the station. His security scanners were monitoring everyone in the area. Yu-Jin Choi nodded and continued her work. She had been experiencing unusual sensations lately when working with the stealth equipment. Sometimes she felt as if she could perceive energy fields that were not visible to others. Occasionally she sensed when sensors were scanning her before any alert systems registered the activity. "System calibration complete," she announced. "All parameters are within normal ranges." But as she spoke, something extraordinary began to happen. Yu-Jin's outline seemed to become less solid. The change was subtle at first, like a fading photograph or a reflection in disturbed water. She continued talking normally, unaware that anything unusual was occurring. Dr. Haewon Song, a human physicist who specialized in quantum mechanics, was the first to notice the change. "Yu-Jin," she called out in alarm. "Something is happening to you." Yu-Jin looked down at her hands and gasped. She could see through them as if they were made of translucent glass. Her entire body was becoming transparent, but she could still feel perfectly solid and normal. "What is happening?" she asked, but her voice sounded strange, as if it was coming from far away. The alien observers turned to watch in amazement and growing concern. The transparency effect was spreading across Yu-Jin's entire body. She was becoming invisible, but unlike the technological stealth they had witnessed during the competition, this seemed to be happening to her personally. Security Chief Woo-Jin Kim immediately activated his emergency scanners. The readings showed Yu-Jin's life signs, thermal signature, and electromagnetic profile exactly as they should be, but visually she was disappearing before their eyes. "All sensors register normal human readings," he reported, "but I can barely see her anymore." Dr. So-Min Park rushed to the stealth equipment, checking for malfunctions or unusual energy outputs. "The system is operating normally," she said. "No anomalous readings, no power fluctuations. Whatever is happening, it is not being caused by equipment failure." Yu-Jin Choi continued to fade from visibility. Within 3 minutes, she had become completely invisible to all observers in the room. But her voice could still be heard, and her presence was still registered by every sensor and monitoring device. "I can still see all of you," Yu-Jin's voice said from empty air. "I feel completely normal, but when I look at my hands, they appear solid to me. Why can everyone else not see me?" Investigator Rathven, who led the multi-species task force, arrived within minutes of receiving the emergency alert. He was a tall, pale being with extensive experience in unexplained phenomena. Has she moved from her original position? He asked. No, replied Security Chief Woojin Kim. According to all our sensors, she is standing exactly where she was when she became invisible. She has not moved, teleported, or shifted to another dimension. She simply cannot be seen. Dr. Haewon-song was analyzing the energy readings around Yoojin's last visible position. This is unlike anything in our scientific literature, she said. She has achieved perfect optical invisibility while remaining detectable by all other means. The assembled aliens were both fascinated and terrified. They had seen advanced stealth technology during the competition, but this was something entirely different. Yoojin had not used any equipment to become invisible. It had happened to her directly. Can you touch anything? Dr. Somin Park asked the empty air where Yoojin was standing. Yes, came Yoojin's reply. A stylus lifted from a nearby table and began writing on a datapad. The writing appeared in real time, but no one could see who was holding the stylus. I can interact with everything normally. Objects feel solid to me and I can manipulate them without difficulty. Dr. Haewon-song had a theory about what might be happening. The stealth technology has been evolving through its interaction with human consciousness. Perhaps it has learned to interface directly with Yoojin's neural patterns. Investigator Rathvan was coordinating with technical teams from multiple species. We need to understand this phenomenon immediately. If humans can achieve natural invisibility, it represents a development that could change the balance of power in the galaxy. Advanced sensors from 6 different species were brought to analyze Yoojin's condition. Thermal imaging showed her body heat signature exactly where it should be. Electromagnetic scanners detected her nervous system activity and bioelectric patterns. Gravitational sensors registered her mass and position, but no form of optical detection could register her presence. She had somehow convinced light itself to behave as if she did not exist, while remaining completely solid and interactive with all other forms of matter and energy. This is impossible according to all known physics, declared a Velkari scientist. Light cannot selectively ignore a solid object while allowing all other particles and forces to interact normally. Yoojin's voice responded from the air. I am beginning to understand what has happened. When I work with the stealth equipment, I can feel it learning from my thoughts and reactions. I think it has taught me to exist in the same way it taught our ship to exist during the test. Dr. Somin Park realized the implications of this statement. You mean the technology has integrated with your consciousness to the point where you can control your visibility through thought alone? Something like that, Yoojin replied. I can sense the difference between being seen and not being seen. It feels like choosing whether to participate in a conversation. I am still completely present, but I have opted out of visual detection. The assembled scientists and observers struggled to comprehend what they were witnessing. Technology that could integrate with consciousness to grant natural stealth abilities was beyond anything in their experience or theoretical understanding. Can you choose to become visible again? Asked Dr. Haewon-song. There was a pause before Yoojin answered. I am trying, but I cannot remember how to be seen. It is like trying to remember how to breathe or how to make your heart beat. The process has become unconscious. This statement sent waves of concern through the assembled group. If Yoojin could not control her invisibility, she might be trapped in this state permanently. The achievement of perfect natural stealth had come at the cost of her ability to exist normally in society. Security Chief Woojin Kim was coordinating evacuation procedures in case the situation became more dangerous. We need to establish whether this condition is stable, or if it might spread to other individuals. The investigation teams worked through the day trying to understand Yoojin's condition and find a way to restore her visibility. But as hours passed, it became clear that they were dealing with something that transcended current scientific understanding. Yoojin had achieved the perfect stealth that military strategists had dreamed of for millennia. She was completely undetectable by visual means while remaining fully capable of normal interaction with her environment, but she had also become isolated from normal human society in a way that no one had anticipated. The question that haunted everyone involved was simple, yet profound. Had Yoojin discovered humanity's next evolutionary step, or had she become trapped in a condition that separated her forever from the rest of her species? A joint investigation team was assembled within hours of Yoojin Choi's disappearance. Representatives from 12 different species worked together to understand what had happened and determine if it posed a threat to galactic security. The humans were equally concerned, as they had no explanation for how their own technology had evolved so dramatically. Professor Jae-sung Kang arrived from Earth aboard the fastest ship available. He was humanity's leading expert in consciousness studies and had spent 20 years researching the relationship between human awareness and technology. His first meeting with the invisible Yoo-jin was unlike anything in his experience. "Yoo-jin, can you describe what you are experiencing right now?" he asked the empty air where sensors indicated she was standing. "It is difficult to explain," came her reply. "I feel completely normal, but I also feel less connected to the physical world. It is like existing in the space between being awake and being asleep, Commander." Taranex of the Zephyrians had joined the investigation because her species had the most advanced understanding of consciousness in the galaxy. Her tall form swayed as she communicated through harmonics that human technology, translated into words, the subject appears to exist in a state between full reality and complete unreality, her translator announced. This suggests consciousness-based existence rather than technology-based concealment. Dr. Myung-hee Lim, a human neuroscientist, had brought equipment to monitor Yoo-jin's brain activity. The readings showed patterns unlike anything in medical literature. Her neural pathways were active, but they were processing information in ways that human brains had never been observed to work. "Your brain is showing activity in regions that are normally dormant," Dr. Lim explained to Yoo-jin. "It appears that extended interaction with the stealth technology has activated latent areas of human consciousness." Professor Jae-sung Kang had been studying reports of Yoo-jin's experiences over the previous weeks. She had mentioned unusual dreams, perceptual changes, and moments where she felt less solid. These were symptoms that he recognized from his theoretical research. "Yoo-jin, you mentioned feeling like you could see through your own hands before this incident. How long had that been happening?" "About 3 weeks," Yoo-jin's voice replied. "I also started noticing when sensors were scanning me before any alerts appeared on my equipment. Sometimes I knew what adjustments the stealth system needed before running diagnostics." Dr. Myung-hee Lim found these reports significant. "Extended exposure to the stealth technology has been creating a feedback loop with your nervous system. The equipment learned to read your subconscious responses and began responding to your intentions before you were consciously aware of them. Commander, Taranex produced a complex harmonic pattern that her translator struggled to process. After several attempts, the system announced, the Zephyrians observed that consciousness evolution typically occurs when awareness expands beyond normal perceptual boundaries. The investigation revealed that human stealth technology worked differently from what anyone had previously understood. Rather than simply hiding objects from sensors, it created a bridge between human consciousness and the quantum fields that determined how matter interacted with detection systems. The technology does not just learn from human neural patterns, explained Professor Jae-sung Kang. It teaches human consciousness to directly manipulate the probability fields that govern observation and detection. This discovery had enormous implications for galactic security. If humans could learn to achieve perfect stealth through consciousness development rather than technology, they could potentially infiltrate any location in the galaxy without being detected by any known means. Dr. So-min Park was working with the investigation team to understand how far this evolution might progress. If Yoo-jin represents the first stage of this development, what might the next stages involve? Unknown, admitted Professor Kang. We are dealing with an expansion of human consciousness into areas that we have never studied. The possibilities are both exciting and concerning. The search for Yoo-jin became more urgent when the team realized she might be unable to return to normal visibility without help. Strange phenomena had begun occurring throughout Nexus Prime. Doors opening by themselves, equipment being mysteriously calibrated, and computer systems accessing files without any record of user interaction. She is still present and active, observed Security Chief Woo-jin Kim. But she is interacting with our environment in ways that leave no detectable traces. Dr. Myung-hee Lim had developed a theory about Yoo-jin's condition. She exists in a state where she can choose when and how to interact with reality. She can affect physical objects when she chooses, but she remains undetectable unless she specifically wills herself to be observed. The investigation team developed new detection methods specifically designed to find someone who had achieved perfect stealth. Instead of trying to detect Yujin directly, they focused on the secondary effects of her presence. Look for patterns in environmental changes, suggested Commander Taranex through her translator. Consciousness-based stealth cannot hide the effects of conscious action, only the actor performing those actions. Professor Jae-sung Kang noticed that the mysterious activity around the station followed patterns that suggested intelligent purpose rather than random occurrence. Equipment was being adjusted to improve efficiency. Computer systems were being optimized for better performance. Someone was helping the station operate more effectively while remaining completely undetected. Yujin, he called out to the station's computer center, where the most recent unexplained activity had occurred. We know you are trying to help, but we need to understand your condition so we can determine how to help you. For several minutes there was no response. Then Yujin's voice came from a location several meters away from where sensors indicated she should be standing. I am learning to control this condition, she said. I can move without affecting sensors that track my position. I can exist in one location while appearing to sensors to be in another. The possibilities are remarkable but also isolating. Dr. So-min Park realized that Yujin had developed abilities that went far beyond simple invisibility. You can manipulate how reality perceives your presence. This is not just stealth technology anymore. This is consciousness evolution. The implications of Yujin's transformation were becoming clear to the investigation team. Humans had discovered a form of existence that transcended the normal relationship between consciousness and physical reality. The stealth competition had revealed capabilities that could change the fundamental nature of human interaction with the universe. But questions remained about whether this development could be controlled, whether it could be reversed, and whether other humans might undergo similar transformations. Yujin had become the first human to achieve perfect stealth through consciousness evolution, but she had also become separated from normal human society in ways that no one fully understood. The next step, announced Professor Jae-sung Kang, is to help Yujin learn to control her abilities so she can choose when to be visible and when to remain hidden. If she can master this condition, she will represent a new stage in human development. The investigation had revealed something unprecedented in galactic history. A species developing natural stealth abilities through consciousness evolution rather than technology. The question now was whether this represented humanity's future or Yujin's unique individual transformation. 2 weeks after Yujin Choi's disappearance, the investigation team made a breakthrough. They found her in the central computer core of Nexus Prime, where she had been learning to control her new state of existence. The discovery came when Professor Jae-sung Kang noticed that the station's systems were being optimized in ways that required someone with intimate knowledge of both human and alien technology. Yujin, we know you are here, he called out to the computer core. The system improvements you have been making are remarkable, but we need to talk with you. A soft laugh came from empty air near the main processing unit. I wondered when you would find me here. I have been learning so much about how consciousness can interact with technology. Ambassador Soo-young Park had arrived from Earth to witness what scientists were calling the most significant development in human evolution since the discovery of faster-than-light travel. She was humanity's most skilled diplomatic representative, chosen specifically to help navigate the galactic implications of Yujin's transformation. Can you show yourself to us? Ambassador Park asked gently. We want to understand what you have learned. For several moments, nothing happened. Then Yujin began to fade into visibility, like a photograph slowly developing in solution. The process took nearly a minute, but eventually she stood before them as solid and visible as any normal person. I can control it now, Yujin said with a smile. It took time to learn, but I can choose when to exist visibly and when to exist in the spaces between observation. Dr. Myung-hee Lim immediately began scanning Yujin with medical equipment. Remarkable. Your neural patterns show conscious control over quantum probability fields. You are literally choosing how reality perceives you. Director Sang-woo Jung, who led the Human Stealth Development Program, had been studying the implications of Yujin's abilities. What you have achieved goes far beyond anything we intended when we developed the stealth technology. You have transcended the need for equipment entirely. Yujin nodded thoughtfully. The technology was just a teacher. It showed my consciousness how to interact with the quantum fields that determine observation and detection. Once I understood the principles, I no longer needed the equipment. Commander Hyunwoo Kim had been watching the demonstration with growing amazement. "Can you move through the station undetected?" "More than that," Yujin replied. She began to fade from view again, but this time she controlled the process consciously. "I can exist in multiple states simultaneously. Watch." The assembled observers saw Yujin standing in front of them, but their sensors registered her presence near the door. Security scanners showed her in the corridor outside, while thermal detectors indicated she was by the computer console. "I am convincing different detection systems that I exist in different locations," her voice explained from all around them. "I can be wherever observers expect to find me, or nowhere at all." The alien representatives who had remained on Nexus Prime to study this phenomenon were astounded. Inspector Vexhai of the Velkari had never encountered anything comparable in thousands of years of investigating advanced technologies. "This transcends technology entirely," she admitted. "You have achieved perfect stealth through consciousness evolution. No species in galactic history has developed such capabilities." Ambassador Soo-young Park realized the full implications of what they were witnessing. "Yujin, you represent a fundamental change in human potential, but we need to understand whether this development can be shared with others, or if it is unique to your individual experience." "I believe others can learn," Yujin said, becoming fully visible again. "The stealth technology creates the bridge between consciousness and quantum fields. With proper training and gradual exposure, other humans should be able to develop similar abilities." Director Sang-woo Jung was already considering the establishment of a new program. "We will need to approach this carefully. Consciousness evolution cannot be rushed or forced. It must develop naturally through understanding rather than mere training." Professor Jae-sung Kang was documenting everything for future research. "Yujin, can you explain what perfect stealth feels like from your perspective?" "It is like learning to breathe underwater," she replied. "At first it seems impossible and frightening. But once you understand that you can exist in spaces that normal perception cannot reach, it becomes natural. I do not hide from reality. I convince reality that I belong wherever I choose to be." Commander Terranex of the Zephyrians produced harmonics that her translator processed as expressions of profound respect. "The subject has achieved consciousness mastery that our species has theorized about for millennia, but never accomplished." Dr. Soman Park asked the question that everyone was considering. "What does this mean for humanity's future? If we can develop natural stealth abilities, how will it change our relationships with other species?" Ambassador Soo-young Park stepped forward to address the assembled group. "This development will be shared openly with the Galactic Federation. Humanity has no desire to use these abilities for conquest or deception. We see this as an opportunity to expand understanding of consciousness itself." Yujin demonstrated her abilities one final time for the gathered observers. She walked through the computer core, becoming invisible to some sensors while remaining detectable to others. She passed through security fields that registered her as authorized personnel. She accessed computer systems that responded to her presence as if she belonged there. "Perfect stealth is not about becoming invisible," she explained as she moved. "It is about controlling how reality notices you. I can be completely undetectable when I choose, or I can appear exactly as any observation system expects to find." Inspector Vexhai was taking detailed notes of everything she observed. The implications for galactic security are enormous, but the implications for consciousness research are even greater. You have proven that awareness can directly manipulate the fundamental forces that govern observation. The demonstration concluded with Yujin returning to full visibility and normal interaction with all detection systems. She had shown complete mastery over her condition, able to exist in any state between perfect visibility and absolute concealment. "The stealth competition was designed to identify advanced technology," said Administrator Kexthan, who had observed the entire demonstration. "Instead, it has revealed the evolution of consciousness itself. Humanity has achieved something that transcends competition entirely." Director Sang-woo Jung announced the establishment of the Human Consciousness Development Program, with Yujin as the primary instructor. "We will train selected individuals to develop these abilities gradually and safely. The goal is not military advantage, but human evolution." 6 months later, 12 humans had begun showing similar abilities to Yujin's. though none had achieved her level of mastery. The program remained highly classified, but its existence had changed galactic perceptions of human potential. Yu Jin had become the first human to achieve perfect stealth through consciousness evolution, demonstrating that the ultimate concealment technology was not technology at all, but awareness itself. She could exist in the spaces between observation and reality, choosing when and how to be perceived by the universe around her. The aliens who had witnessed her transformation left Nexus Prime with a new understanding of what intelligence could accomplish when it learned to work with the fundamental forces of existence rather than against them. The stealth competition had revealed capabilities that would reshape galactic civilization's understanding of consciousness, technology, and the relationship between awareness and reality. The line between what was possible through technology and what was possible through evolved consciousness had been permanently erased. Humanity had demonstrated that the greatest stealth capability was not hiding from the universe, but learning to speak its language fluently enough to convince it that you belonged wherever you chose to be. And Yu Jin Choi, the engineer who had disappeared effortlessly, had become the teacher who would help humanity take its next step in the endless journey of consciousness evolution.